Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, ClickBaity political. Yeah, Thirsttrap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight, unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent ClickBaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad,
Trap, thirst,
trap. Thirsttrap. Welcome one and all to another episode of ClickBaity Political Thirsttrap. You are all the way live with the realest black men in politics.
That's
and
true.
Also media. You are all the way live with Marcus Farrell, live from Midtown, Atlanta, Georgia. I am joined by my cohorts and co-host, Mayor Mondale Robinson, all the way from Enfield, North Carolina, and also
Boston, Massachusetts.
Pastor Benjamin Dixon from somewhere in the universe. We are coming at you because we care about you. Join the Trap Squad. Join it.
What up? What up?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hey man, ain't nothing but the rent. How's it going? Mondale got the good food going on over there. Living the good man. It's good to see you back in place, back at home, eating good. Squirrel game.
Yeah, I promise you that Gullah Geechee. I promise you that Gullah
It's something Gullah Geechee. Something.
He probably eats some seafood somewhere.
And some rice.
Like some seafood or something like that. I guarantee you got a piece of rice. He got a rice grain in his mouth right now.
How the body? The boys learn about that body, boy.
Listen, I don't know what you said, but I recognize the dialect.
Yeah, that's it. That's that Geechee. Listen,
that's it.
Marcus, I appreciate you starting the show off like that, talking about we're here because we care about your well-being, about you. And I think some people might think that's like you just, freestyling or something that sounds quick. But I've been doing a lot of like, God sat me down so I could be present. And I think I feel like that's who I've tried to be like in this sober space. And by sober, I mean extremely clear, not just like of vices, but not just of vices. And it's been amazing to watch like how I show up and like what I want to do that's better. So I go to church, to my normal church, which is my normal church is the church that my wife is a member of. It's Alpha Street Baptist, been around since the 1800s. Just black folk doing good stuff for black people. They gave the most money to the Black African American Smithsonian Museum. It's a massive church, old church, a lot of history, and a pastor who is like enough in the world that he can speak to people in the world. And I feel like Ben, like he's like you and Jada. Whereas if it was a million of y'all, people wouldn't have a problem with God's church. So I do that. I do that in the morning, but I make sure they do 2 services every Sunday, 7 and 11. I do that 7 service so I never miss Ben's service. And if you and I'm not speaking on behalf of his church because he's not giving me that permission, him and Jada, Pastor Jada, but I'm going to say this right now. If you are concerned, confused, or don't know how or what it means to walk with Jesus, you should not be missing those hour and a half, 2-hour sermons, especially as Pastor Jada lead in teaching us, how to be present in uncomfortable spaces with your relationship with Christ and Christianity. So I just wanted to say that, and also want to say in this space, I care about your ministry and also your walk with God. And I wanna go back to the days, not like it ain't too much from baby boomers I want to take, but I do want to take this time to say I owe you an apology because there's no way I respect what you're trying to do with God, for God, and on behalf of God's people, and I curse so flippantly in your presence. I want to go back to the days when I get uncomfortable. Remember the old days when somebody of the church or even a deacon was around and you slip up and curse, you be like, oh, my bad, deacon. I want to get back to the days where I'm like, my bad, pastor. I see what you're trying to do. I don't need my mouth to be a distraction from what you got going on there because it's big business and not like money. It's business, God's business. God, Jesus said, you should have known I'd be about my father's business.
Father's business.
I see it. I feel it over there. And it doesn't even feel like a tax on my body and my mind to sit in there for an extra 2 hours after I just left sermon because I feel like you guys are serving a different part of my soul. So thank y'all for showing up like that.
Hey, man, I look, my goodness. Hey, babe. I gotta tell Jada to go and watch, Pastor Jada to go and watch the first 5 minutes of the show, man. She definitely be blessed by what you just said. And nah, like I got nothing to say, but I love y'all brothers. Let's do the work that we here to do. And I've always felt stronger. I told y'all this way back the first time around. Like I feel safer, I feel stronger when I'm with my brothers. You know what I mean? And I think we have work that we got to do that's going to require all of us to walk in unicity. You know what I mean? We got some fights to fight that we can only fight together. And I'm glad y'all on the plane.
Fight together.
Yeah.
With that being said,
hold on, Marcus. Let me start out by apologizing.
With that being said, that guy done cussed me out so many times.
Who, me? I have, but it's. I've changed. I've changed.
Letting you to know he spoke about that growth too.
Yeah, the Lord has changed.
He said he's working on that, Marcus. But
listen,
let me apologize to y'all real quick.
Yo,
because I need to say it in this way.
What I really want to say is I want to second what you said. I want to.
No, he got. Okay, wait, hang on, both of y'all, because there's a huge. Because I think what's happening is Marcus. There's a. I don't know if you can reset your internet, but we getting only like every other word from you, and you freezing up. I don't know if you could tell. Yeah. Yeah, you freezing up good on us there. So see what you could. There you go. All right, Mark, Mayor, go ahead while he fixes that.
Say what, man. My party is acting a donkey right now, and not just because we donkeys. My party's acting a donkey right now. And as bad as I want to say, certain people ain't good for this moment, are problematic for this moment. This party, what they're saying about the party is absolutely true. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't care about the brother who just picking. I don't care about him, just the guy from Mississippi that's running for Senate that left the Democratic Party to run on independent, because his complaint, the real reason he's running is because people told him you need to get out the party, or you need to get out the way because you lost the Senate race, you lost the governor's race, Secretary of State race, he lost a lot of races, right? And I guess people are giving him money, but he turned it and said people. The first conversations, they didn't ask about veterans, they didn't ask about healthcare, they didn't ask about any of those stances. What they asked him about how much money he had or could raise, and for that brother ain't lying about that. I'm seeing candidates get pushed out or not even invited in because they didn't have the ability to raise millions of dollars.
Before you go further, let me bring Marcus up to what you just said, because you said he was issuing an apology because he's recognizing that his party, the donkeys, they're acting like donkeys. and they really have done some foul stuff over the last week.
I mean, legitimately, it's my party also, and I'm not. Right. I'd be wrong to say that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't vote with Democrats all the time. If there's a Green Party member, I will vote for that person if that person's platform speaks to me. It's at this point, like I don't want to do a whole show on it, but I will say this right here, and I posted this on my Twitter page, and it's very simple. When Bernie Sanders lost or election stolen, no matter who you asked, to Hillary Clinton in 2016, it was asked of Bernie Sanders and his supporters to blindly put their values aside. to make sure that they supported Hillary Clinton, right? In this case, with the mayor's race in New York is the exact opposite thing, right? Where now we are at now moderates, the same people who told the Bernie supporters, and not even Bernie supporters, let's just say progressives who were not feeling Hillary Clinton, to vote blue no matter who, right? Guess who won the primary? A Democrat. A Democrat won the primary. But in this case, there's a conversation about, like, you almost see a slow roll to endorse from establishment figures, to endorse a person who is going to be the mayor of the biggest city in the world when it comes down to culture and when it comes down to
economics and everything.
So what's the holdup? The holdup is not the candidate. The holdup is the movement, right? They don't want to endorse, because this will be the biggest race, one of the biggest that a progressive has ever won in America in modern history, right? And they don't want that precedent to get set across the nation. This is not an anti-Democrat, pro-Democrat conversation that we should be having. It's, okay, guess what? The people have spoken. I didn't hear any of these people who didn't endorse. I didn't hear, I'm sorry, Mondale, you probably were in the middle of one, but I didn't hear any of these people endorse Bernie or endorse Hillary, who endorsed Hillary. And I hate to be like this, but I'm using this example for a reason, right? There is a progressive Democrat who won. Shut up.
Come on.
He's a Democrat. I'm going to use the same talking points that these guys use towards progressives. Shut up and deal
vote blue.
Shut up and support. Shut up and do your job. Get the Democrat elected. Oh, he's a progressive. I don't want to do that. That scares the hell out of me. Excuse me, Pastor. I know Mondale started what he said earlier, but fuck out of here. What you talking about, cuz? So all of a sudden, it matters that he says certain things about Israel, or is that AIPAC talking?
It's AIPAC talking.
Oh, all of a sudden it matters because he wants to tax the rich, or is that billionaires talking?
It's billionaires talking.
What are we doing here, fellas? Let's call out the hypocrisy of these so-called quote-unquote leaders. And I'm especially disappointed that it's Black leaders that's leading the charge.
Come on.
So where I was going with this was, I think for me,
I'm sorry, Mondale.
It's all good. I think for me, some of what I was going to say was about the hypocrisy of fall in line, but it's also the pattern of not falling in line that's speaking louder to me. I remember when Barack Obama won the primary against Hillary Clinton. Barack Obama was the progressive of the two. We saw him as president; he was not progressive at all. But we also watched white women abandon the party when Barack Obama left. We watched.
I almost forgot that.
We watched these people, and I'm an Elizabeth Warren Democrat. We watched these people do what they did. Two people that were elected Democratic members lost their seats for helping Hillary Clinton against Bernie. We watched these people almost demand of us or force us out of the party, create blacklists for challenging Democrats. Blacklists of consultants that they wouldn't work with. And now we have establishment people, folk from the party, running against a landslide victory. People talk about, this wasn't Black voters, this was white and Muslim voters. And for me, the funny part is, here's what they would do to you. The isolation of Black voters, or the playing with Black voters, is absolutely disgusting. What I mean by that is, if you look at the neighborhoods in New York that are Black, the Brooklyn neighborhoods specifically, those some of the neighborhoods in Torres district in Queens, and you look at these districts, These are the black districts in New York. Mamdani won all of those districts. This man won all of the black districts. And for them to pretend that a lot of black people didn't turn out was the primary. So a lot of voters never turn out. Also, and if you consider this not a lot of voters turning out, then we should start talking about your person who's in line to be the Speaker of the House, because he's never won a race with more than 30,000 votes. I'm talking about Jeffries. He only wins in the primary with 20-some thousand votes in a district that got 700,000 people. So if Mamdani doesn't have a Democratic mandate, has any Democrats running in the primary in New York ever had a mandate? And we're talking about a state that has one of, if not the most restrictive primary processes. I think you have to be registered like a year in advance to vote in a Democratic primary in New York. It is that restrictive. Wow. It's that disgusting. So so when I see this and hear this, I'm absolutely flabbergasted, but I'm also excited because what I saw was, hold on, Marcus, I saw Mamdani defeat Bill Clinton and Clyburn and Andrew Cuomo. So what we saw was a trifecta of stupidity that's been pushed in our face for the past 35 plus years of political work gets shut down with one brown progressive. And what I mean by that is you had the black so-called gatekeeper leadership, you had the white man electability in Cuomo, and then you had the white man whose strategy that's still being used, consultants for the most part, still being used to lead the Democratic Party down the road of failure. We watched all of that. We watched all of that fall to the wayside for someone being extremely progressive. What it tells us is, check this out, y'all. Here's the news flash the Democrats don't want us to say. Mamdani did something that Democrats are afraid of that makes Trump in America unbeatable. He talked directly to his base and didn't give a damn what anybody outside of his base had to say about it. He was not fooled or moved by what you're going to try to make me say because you heard it on the media. You're not going to make me change my views on how toxic Israel is because of what you're saying on the media. You're not going to make me answer your question and try to trip me up regardless of what you're saying. I'm going to tell you we need government-owned grocery stores. You want to know why? Because people in New York are hungry and starving. That's why. I'm going to tell you we need rent freeze. You want to know why? Because it's one of the most expensive cities in the country. And guess what? Ain't no poor people in New York mad at Mamdani for talking about government-run grocery stores where people can get fresh and affordable food, or a rent freeze where people can rent can stop going up out the roof so they can keep pushing poor people further and further away from the city, away from resources. So I'm super excited that this city is about to elect one of the most progressive candidates it ever has, in the moment where the establishment is turning its back on progressive ideas. Because it's going to do, it's going to set the tone for how we defeat them going forward. Because their definition of electability went out the window with Cuomo. Electability now has been shown as a racist tool to exclude people that are not white. John, the idea that Clyburn is a kingmaker has been shot to hell.
Done.
Bill Clinton can come in and what do they call Bill Clinton? The explainer in chief. Got his ass whooped. Excuse my language, Ben. I'm sorry.
It is what it is, man. It's fact.
Go on and on about New York, but go ahead.
Ben Mondale, I wanna first I got a question for both of you guys. Mondale, you brought up a beautiful point about not only electability, but about speaking to your base. I think since we started this show in 2020, 2021, where we've been basically talking to our base and you know what talking to the base means? Like listening to the base and actually repeating and regurgitating the things that they care about, right? This man has been called a communist. He's been called every name on the book by Democrats.
Yes.
Not even Republicans, by Democrats, right? Yeah. And you know, the only thing he really did was regurgitate how he feel in the streets. I want to bring that up. He just regurgitated what he's heard from the streets. He's spoken to the barbershops, right? And I say this because I want to ask you guys a question. What is a mandate and what is electability now? what is a mandate, right? Because I think a 12-point margin is a mandate.
That part.
Right? I think a 12-point margin is a mandate. And I think anything that goes against that 12-point margin is the corporate aspect of the Democratic Party speaking, and speaking in a very loud way. I am the hugest fan of anytime I see Clyburn lose, anytime that I am the hugest fan. Ben, I need that. We need that Clyburn voice, as they said in the chat. I'm a big like Clyburn losing in the primary is one of the most beautiful things in the world, because Clyburn losing in the primary means that people are listening to themselves.
That's right.
And their own issues, and I'm happy about that. So what's a mandate, fellas? That's my question for you, Mondale and Ben. What's a mandate?
I'm gonna let Ben get a word in, because he had one edgewise yet.
Well, 12 points is a mandate. There's no doubt about that, right? There's no doubt that 12 points is a mandate. I want to echo everything that you all have said so far, but I also want to just bring in the fact that I am done, me personally. I'm done with anybody who's caping for AIPAC, Zionism. We need to very clearly identify. Listen, there's a couple things. For everyone who's afraid of him being a socialist, I'm dropping a video, if not tomorrow, but by Thursday. I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit, but I finished recording it. You cannot be a Christian, a Bible-based Christian, and a capitalist. And all I'm doing is going scripture by scripture by scripture. I'm not talking Karl Marx. I ain't talking about Hegel. I'm talking just scripture by scripture by scripture. Now, we all have to exist in a capitalist system. So this isn't condemnation of anybody who is a capitalist. But the fact of the matter is if you're afraid of socialism, then you really need to be looking at capitalism, because it is the antithesis of the kingdom of God economic system. That's number one. So anybody who's talking about him being a socialist, you don't know your Bible. Number two, they're afraid of him because he's a Muslim. Let me tell you something. Islam has as much, actually, no, let me rephrase that. Islam has more respect for Christianity as a structured faith. They recognize Jesus as a prophet. They recognize Jesus, whereas Judaism doesn't. They don't. Complete and total disrespect for Jesus. There is more reason for there to be an Islamic Christian coalition than there is a Judeo-Christian coalition. Miss me with all that. They are hating on him because he opposes the genocide in Gaza. And let me tell you something. The people I'm done with the most are Zionists above anything else. Like, they're coming out with fangs full out. And here's the thing I think black folks need to understand. I know y'all do, but these folks are talking about voting with MAGA. Zionists are talking about voting with MAGA. What you think they'll do to black folks when they get ready? What you think they'll do to us, because we have been tangentially and sometimes very directly opposed to what they've done in Palestine for years? What do you think those same Zionists will do to black folks, for all those establishment Democrats who are still getting checks of their own from AIPAC? So Mandami, Zoran, I'm just gonna call him Zoran because I struggle with that last name. I ain't gonna lie. My mouth don't quite move well enough to say his last name yet, but I'm working on it. Zoran represents everything that the establishment that would be with fascists hate and fear the most. That's why I support that brother. Let me say this last thing, and y'all get what y'all can get in there. We saw what they did to India Walton in Buffalo. We remember what they did in 2021. What did they do? They refused to endorse. They let the incumbent mayor, Byron Brown. They let Brown run as an independent. They let him get support from Republicans, get Republican donors, and the party didn't do anything. So the governor didn't endorse, and the state party nor the national party didn't do anything to stop Brown from doing what he did with Republicans. The same thing is shaping up to happen with Mayor Adams. Already, Matt Gaetz has tweeted out, MAGA plus Adams equals victory. So if you're out there and you're supporting Byron Adams, Eric Adams. If you're supporting Eric Adams, you are supporting MAGA. And I can't rock with nobody like that. So I have committed myself personally. I'm locking myself in right now today. Whatever the Democratic establishment does to Zoran, I am going to convince at least 500,000 people to do to them in 2026, 2028, until there's absolutely nothing left of the establishment. You can't tell me to be afraid of MAGA when you're getting ready to vote with them against Zoran. You can't.
Hey man, this is the moment that I've kind of been waiting for on this show. I believe it or not even on this show, but just in general. Like when it comes down to Democrats showing their true form, right? It's cool when they do it, but it's messed up when we got it, right? But what did my boy say? D-Lo say? Fuck him. Excuse my language, Pastor, but fuck him, right? And I bring that up in the most heartfelt fuck him, right? Excuse my language, but I really do. Because here's my thing. This is accumulation of 2012, 2014, 2016.
He still ain't right. Marcus still ain't right.
It's a long conversation, but I think.
But no, I'm not. I mean, I don't even want to be right or wrong. I'm talking about what I care about.
No,
where I'm at.
I'm joking. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But like, this is not even about me being right or wrong or even starting an argument. This is about the culture of the Democratic Party, the culture of it. And I'm a black person about freedom, space, liberation. I'm a black liberationist. I'm a black reparationist. I'm a black Medicare for all-ist.
Do that.
You know? And they don't want that. They don't want us being free.
No.
Like, here's my thing. I want to point out that when you brought up the fact that Hillary Clinton said that she would be afraid of a black man with a hoodie and she would go to the opposite side of the street. I want to bring up the fact that when you brought up, even though right or wrong, and he might have changed his views, when Joe Biden was an author or helped pass the crime bill.
Come on.
I want to bring up the fact that when you bring up these things about these moderate candidates, we are asked as progressives to overlook those things. But what we're not asked to do is overlook the loyalty to Israel. What we're not asked to do is to we can't overlook the issues that this man might have that might offend Israel or billionaires. Notice the talking points. These things are about Israel and billionaires. If y'all can bring up something else to have a beef with, let me know.
Come on, Brent.
It's literally
I think you're right.
Israel and billionaires. They have a problem. And what are we going through right now? As Americans, we're going through problems with billionaires. Why we don't have healthcare? Why we don't have so many things in our society? And guess what we got going on internationally? Israel telling us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think here's what I want to say. I here's what I believe wholeheartedly. I don't feel like I think what all of the I don't care about the day, and I think we got to spend less time on the day and more time doing the work of the day. Mamdani did. Mamdani proved to you it don't matter if the day is against you. The day is no longer strong enough to. We're not running elections anymore to win the most baby boomers. And if you are, that's what the Democratic establishment does. And if you are, you will lose your election. That's cool. Unless you're somewhere in South Florida where a bunch of people go to retire, or Arizona. But for the most part, if you're not running an election like Mamdani's that's speaking to the needs and the desires and the cries of a majority of Americans, you're gonna lose an election. So
that's right.
Mamdani just proved to you down the street from Wall Street, you don't gotta care about money. You can tell the truth about how corrupt it is. You can say every billionaire is a policy failure. And I need people to understand when we say that is not a a abstract number that we put out of the sky. You can go lower than that, because I think it's way lower than billion. I think every 20, 30 millionaire is a policy failure. And it ain't just me, it's the science to tell you after a certain amount of money, I think about $10 million, there's no reward emotionally for anyone that gains any more money. Therefore, all of these people with all of this, these few people with all of this wealth are a problem. They're a policy failure where we've made a decision. We as a society said, I'm okay with this many people starving, so these 4 or 5 people can have this much. I think Mondani has tapped into the same people or enough people to say that, yeah, I'm against that too. And we saw it. Socialism is not a boogie monster. Just like Donald Trump is not a boogie monster to people that are suffering from America. I'm trying to create this new idea of uninvisibility Black people, mainly Black rural people, because it is a part of Black Americana that is not talked about. It is Americana that the world don't know about. Black rural people are the Americana. These are not migratory people. My people. We are up the street, around the corner, and sometimes on the same dirt where our people were whipped and the blood made the grass grow.
Wow.
That trauma, that undealt with trauma, is the reason people should be on fire and not talking like James Clyburn or the party.
That part.
And I think this generation, they might not be tapped into what slavery or who died for their rights, but what they ain't gonna let you do to them is play their face or cap.
Yeah.
And it don't matter how old you are, how young you are, they'll tell you that's cap and you ain't gonna play my face. And I respect that because I just witnessed them put it to work and outperform baby boomers in New York for what they believe. We just learned that you can't say young voters aren't primary voters anymore. What you got to say is a candidate can't make young voters vote for them, which means your candidate is a problem.
I think we're in an inflection point, right? We're really at that point where the baby boomers are dying. And, that happens, and we have to just kind of seize the inflection point right now and not pretend or look back. It's not going to be long before James Clyburn and Bill Clinton are unable to even come out of their home, except for, maybe they get pushed around in a wheelchair to come and do their vote. James Clyburn will still be elected to Congress and he'll still be voting at 90 something years old, but he won't be able to go on nobody's campaign trail. I think we need to seize the moment. I'm not trying to be ageist, but let's be real. One of the worst things that has happened to this planet has been the political decisions of baby boomers, the economic decisions of baby boomers as a collective generation, because it wasn't just one side of the equation. It wasn't just Republican baby boomers who did it. It was the consensus that was made amongst both Democrat and Republican baby boomers. Now, what I'm upset about, what I fear, is the fact that sickness and that disease is being passed down to Generation X and to millennials. You see people like Ezra Klein. You see a lot of this Black misleadership class. They got a whole bunch of new Black faces who are going to be in there and replicate the same ignorance that James Clyburn did. So we still have that problem. But what I like about this moment is they're marginalized. You know what I mean? They don't have no real pull. The people who have pull right now are people who are standing on business when it comes to Palestine, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to reparations, when it comes to Medicare for all. The people who actually have a voice and have power are the people that the system hates the most. That's why I don't think we're going to have a hard time helping Zoran or anybody else get elected at this point. I think what we had to realize is that we didn't have to keep waiting on boomers, and we don't need their permission, because after a while, they're going to need us to push them around in wheelchairs. And again, I ain't trying to be ageist. What I'm saying is you got to notice when the times are changing, and right now is that time. We got to seize that moment.
So, and I think, Ben, I appreciate that. I appreciate you naming that. And also, what happened to the cycle of life where we let people age gracefully? I don't think you naming what we do and what happens to us as we get older is a critique of old people in a way, or older people that is disconnected from reality.
That's right.
We have this fake idea that looks back and forward, right? If you are white, your nostalgic look tends to be beautiful about what things were. Make America great again, right? And then most people have this wonderful idea that believe that there are more good days in front of them than behind them. Unfortunately, that's just not the truth, right? We're all marching towards that place that's called permanent rest. And I think we should acknowledge that. So let me I jumped in because I want to say two things. Two people in the chat said one thing. Wanda, we are not when we speak, we're not speaking in absolutes. We definitely know they're great boomers. So we're not talking about you, Wanda. I see your comment. I got you.
We love you, Wanda. You one of the best out there.
Yeah, and what we don't want to do is we don't want to kill off anybody. We do want boomers to claim what they supposed to be. A generation that was about building this country and maintaining or creating a middle class for the first time. That requires you to critique some of the stuff that happened on the boomer watch. That's the first thing. The second thing, power local media. You can't come on ClickBaity. So I know the name tricks people and think you're going to get a lot of false stuff up here and not be factual. Millennials and 20-somethings are not more conservative than boomers. That's actually not proper. And to say that many 20-somethings voted for Trump, sure, but that ain't the reason we're here. That's also not a reason. That's also to say that what you're naming without naming it is white people being white people.
Yeah.
Young folk vote a little more like they uncles and aunts and their mamas and daddies. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But what you're not saying in your statement, local power local media, and I this is not to run you away or push on you from a platform, but it is to allow that our chat is a place of truth. We act crazy on this show, but we speak truthfully. That's crazy right. Truth is an amazing thing. It's kind of like Jesus flipping over tables. Not implying that we're Jesus, but we're doing that work. So what I want to say is, let's be clear here. What's not mentioned in your statement is how you are using millennials and 20-something as synonyms with whiteness. Just like in the days when women were trying to get the right to vote, they use women synonymous with white women and excluded black women. So what you're doing is excluding black and brown millennial voters, Zero voters, when you say what you said. And what I mean by that is you cannot tell me more black people and more brown people voted for Trump this election cycle. What you can say is Trump got a larger portion, a large percentage of the voters. That's fine and accurate. But it's also the case because more people sat out the election. So let me tell people what we need to stop doing. We need to stop listening to these people on mainstream media because they guide us down roads that aren't real. People were talking about a mandate because Donald Trump had a mandate, according to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is the most lyingest person I've ever met. Never met. Here's what we know. Trump got 33% of the electorate in the United States. Kamala got 31% of the vote in the United States, the electorate. Guess who got the largest portion of the vote in 2024?
People who didn't go.
The couch got 36% of the electorate. So if you want to talk to me about a mandate, talk to me how we move these brothers and sisters and non-transgender folk that sat on the couch over either of the candidates. Stop talking to me about this fake idea of a mandate when both parties are winning on the margins, 2 and 3% of people back and forth. How and when are you going to create a candidate that can animate that 36% that don't see faith in any of y'all? I'll tell you when you look at the outcome from last Tuesday election in New York. That's the mandate. Other than that, power local media and others, you're capping. In the words of young folk, not Jim Jones.
I want to talk about the Supreme Court, but I do have one last point on this, and that is, Mondale, you just said something beautiful, and that was talk about something, right? Moderate Democrats have not talked about anything since Obamacare. Okay? I'll repeat that. By the way, Ben, you need to clip.
Can you tell them why that's a moderate point? Why Obamacare is moderate and not progressive?
Yeah.
It was Mitt Romney's.
Yeah. Well, it was Romney Care, also Jackson
Heritage
Care.
Foundation.
Like, there's a lot of places that we can go with that. But what I'm saying is, moderates have not had a talking point since 2008, right? And I hate to be like this, but a moderate billionaire donor doesn't really want us to have anything besides Obamacare?
Facts.
And I bring that up because that's the reason why your politicians haven't talked about anything. Our politicians haven't talked about anything. The Democratic nominee from New York has talked about a lot of things because ideas have happened. But this time it's not a guy named Bernie. This time is a guy from New York City, right? And that's a problem for these folks, right? I'm not even here to bash Democrats or moderate Democrats or whatever. What I'm saying to you is that the things that we've talked about on this show as progressives, even if you're a moderate and you've watched this show and you heard our lessons that we taught, and each one of us, Ben, Mondale, we are progressive. Don't get that twisted. Some of us might be a little bit more independent leaning. Some of us might be a little bit more democratic leaning, but we are progressive black men. And we talk about things that help our society. The problem is that moderate Democrats don't want us to say anything.
Anything.
Let me and again, Marcus, just so people don't come at you too hard, I need to provide shelter around you. When you say that when you say moderates have not had anything to talk about, Mark, like, I don't care about them coming at me. What are they going to do with their Nerf guns? I hear you, Mark. What I'm saying is, like, I don't want people to say that, we're out here lying and capping, because we just called them out. Okay? What I will say is they've not marketed what they should have marketed since Obamacare, because the infrastructure was a big bill, 1.9 trillion that did good for folk, right? The infrastructure, the American Rescue was a big deal, 1.2 trillion. So I'll say those two things, Inflation Reduction Act, those things, and the CHIPS Act. So there was something to talk about, but I know exactly what you're saying, and it doesn't miss your point that the fact that I can name on one hand the things that they got to brag about, it's still a problem since.
Well, more importantly, the things that we have been concerned about as American people have not been regurgitated from the party that's supposed to be representing the American people. And I don't care what nobody says, but we've been talking about the same thing for years. $15 an hour minimum wage. Now I'm talking about a majority of people, not just progressive people. $15 an hour minimum wage. Affordable health care, but more so Medicare for all. That is a popular thing, right? Like that's popular. What I'm saying is they haven't talked about those things because those things will take away from billionaire pockets. I'm not trying to argue. What I'm saying is these guys don't want to hear anybody saying anything against billionaires.
Yeah.
And against Israel.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
That Israel thing.
Where we are.
That Israel thing is, I think the Israel thing more than the true. But that Israel thing is like to speak on Israel is in some cases political suicide for people that are doing great stuff for their community. Cori Bush. With all the, I watched this sister sleep on the step.
But why was that political suicide? Was that political suicide because the people had a problem with it, or was that political suicide because AIPAC had a problem with it?
Oh yeah, AIPAC for sure.
Because you can't tell me them brothers
right
now talking about I like when you do it right there, care about whatsoever.
Hold on a second. I mean, the statement was, check it out now. To speak against Israel, we were talking about in the context of AIPAC money, is political suicide. We watched this sister do more for that district than most people do for their district. We watched this sister come into DC on business and leave on business. And we still watch AIPAC money make her race to one of the most expensive races ever in the history of the United States Congress. That's how bad they wanted that black woman gone. So the party, the Democratic Party should have a problem because their base, the largest voting bloc for them are black women. So their notion to AIPAC should be, hey, just like we protect y'all, you can't come for these. You can't come for these. Talking about black women at all, especially when they're doing right by their citizens. But AIPAC controls so much On both
And
parties.
black people. I'm sorry, black people in APAC shouldn't have anything to do with each other.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
Can I share a conspiracy theory with y'all?
Hey.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Before October 7th, was that 2023 or 22? Because I'm losing track of years now. But before October 7th happened, I got a call from a dude I ain't talked to in like, I don't know, 10 years. And 3 minutes into the conversation, he started talking about Israel and Palestine and Ilhan Omar. And then later on, I got a call and got an offer to come do a thing with some folks who I later found out are so in bed with APAC, it's just like disgusting. And I didn't realize it at the time, but and watch this, and be careful when I say this, but thankfully I ended up catching COVID and I couldn't go and do it. And then just as soon as I missed it, they turned out to be the most devilish Zionist I had ever met in my existence. And I said all this before October 7th. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, first of all, it's a conspiracy theory because then I have to assume that they knew October 7th was coming. But the penetration in the Black community is so deep. Conspiracy theory. It just it's been on my heart. I just want to say it somewhere that they reach out to even folks like me to put pressure on through second, third hand. You know what I mean? And so I'm sitting back, I'm like, well, we did know Benjamin Netanyahu knew it was coming. The Egyptian intelligence told him that a year ago. They knew it was coming. But then all of a sudden, I start getting caught. And then I get, so
Marcus,
you said something that's truer than I think, truer than true.
Yeah, I was about to agree.
Black folks do not need to be affiliated with APAC. I don't care how much money they offer you. I don't care what kind of threat they run against you. But here's the problem with when we talk about Cori Bush and when we talk about Nina Turner, they found Black people to run against them. They put Black faces in those spaces to run against them. So the Democratic Party doesn't have to do what you said, Marcus Mundell, because all of a sudden they got Black folks who will go in and do the bidding. I'm sorry, if you are a Black person rocking with APAC, you are no better to me than a Black MAGA. You're not.
Hey, listen real quick before I pass it over, because I'm going to pass it over to you, Mondale. You know what APAC and their candidates don't talk about? In a rare decision this week, the U.S. Supreme Court postponed a ruling on Louisiana's congressional redistricting case that could have implications on the legal protections and the rights for minority voters across the country. The High Court's order on Friday did not explain why the court doesn't want to hear arguments on Louisiana versus Callius during the next term, and it's expected to start in October. Although it signaled there may be details and follow-up order coming in due course. The reason why I brought that up is because it's a perfect segue to this, but it's also because of, this is our issue. This right here. The Voting Rights Act is our issue. Black people being able to vote is our issue. Did you ever hear APAC talk about that? No. What APAC is concerned about is the official that's already elected or getting their person in. What they're not concerned about is our current status as Black Americans being able to have the freaking right to vote. Miss me when it comes down to what APAC is supporting versus what's important to us right now. Our freaking right to vote is being tested at the highest level right now in Louisiana. This story right here is the biggest story in the news that I don't think anybody really understands. Do you understand what is coming out of my mouth? Y'all understand what is happening right now? This right here, when it comes down to Republican legislations and legislators statewide are going to be able to decide without any consequences whether Black people can vote or not at a fair rate. Districts don't matter no more if the Supreme Court votes against this ruling. And what do you hear APAC talking about that? No, you don't. See, here's my thing. Let's keep it 1,000. AIPAC puts damn near $500 million into modern public lobbying. But guess what? This is our issue. Have you heard him say anything about that? Somebody talk to me, because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You haven't heard a damn thing. And the reason why you haven't heard a damn thing is because the AIPACs of the world, the Israeli lobbies of the world, the business lobbies of the world, we can go on and on about the lobbies that care about and actually buy black politicians. What they don't tend to do is buy us access to save votes like this with candidates that actually give a damn. They'll actually tell somebody to be quiet on it. What are we doing? I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. But
no. Because if I could, I want to, because I mean, and I don't mind if this show becomes known as the anti-AIPAC show, because everybody should be anti-AIPAC. But let's be real. Zionism is white supremacy. Facts. It is the tip of the spear of white supremacy. It's the leading edge of the continuous settler colonialism that has been the primary project of white supremacy since time immemorial. Everything about white supremacy has been about expanding territory and taking it in the name of racial capitalism. Even before capitalism was identified as capitalism, it has always been about expansion. And there's a video out, and if we get a chance, I'll play it, of this white Zionist, this European Ashkenazi Jew, who is saying it very plainly now. They don't care if they conquered it through colonialism. They don't care if they took it. They have the expectation that they have the right to do that. I said that to say this in context of what Marcus just brought up. When has white supremacy in any form ever wanted people of color, black people or brown people, to have actual democratic power? So no, we're not going to see AIPAC or any of them stand up in these moments when they are an extension of white supremacy. Their white supremacy sword is being wielded in Palestine right now. But domestically, they're not going to do anything to actually help us get and maintain power, because they know the essence of who they truly are.
I mean, listen, can I be clear and honest? I mean, people should go back and watch what the video you did a couple 3 weeks ago now. The biblical hatred. Like, I think that teaching is extremely empowering, especially for folk who don't know the difference between Zionism and Judaism, right? Like, people don't know that. For people who are confused about where the people who control Israel right now are really from, because the majority of the people that Hitler were killing in the Holocaust
from Poland. Come on.
And then the second largest was Russia, right? How come Theodore, was it Medley? What you say his name?
Herzl.
Yeah, Theodore Herzl. Whoa, what I just see in the chat? Get Team Israel out of my chat, dog.
Oh, okay. I didn't see him. What they at?
Yeah, get them out of the chat.
Yo, they over there in Twitter. You can't really block them from there. Hang on, let me see.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Don't even block them. Leave them up. Leave them up.
Let me cook. So the thing about it is, Ben, you did a wonderful job teaching people. I know the ones that need to hear it won't hear it because they already know it. The creators they know who created this idea. They know what the first Jewish, or what was it, Jewish or Zion Congress, whatever you want to call it, in 1897. They know what they were. They know what Judenstaat was, the Jewish state, the need for a Jewish home to prevent it from anti-Semitism. You must sit down and watch this video. It's long, but it is. Get you some coffee tonight when you. That's a good one. And watch that. It is a powerful teaching. But here's why I think Israel makes it extremely, and I'm talking about Israeli Zionists, makes it extremely hard to take them as any kind of serious when it comes to humanity or playing fair or any different than Donald Trump, for that means. They've yet to unelect Benjamin Netanyahu or force him out. He's wanted by the International Court for war crimes. They know why he's continually started wars, because he is only going to stay in power with these wars. The minute they stop, people are going to be critical of him when they found out, because we did find out that, buddy, you knew that you could have stopped.
October 7th.
You, hey, you could get this money and stop all of what's going on with Hamas. But you said, nah, let them keep it, because you needed that, because you knew what was going to happen. Going back to Ben's conspiracy, that don't sound too conspiratorial when you start thinking about what Benjamin Netanyahu knew. What he knew. So, and people should not act like it's the first time a nation led by white people have allowed a bomb to hit their land so they can get into war, i.e. America allowing Japanese to bomb Pearl Harbor so we can get into that war. A lot of military folk, especially the Navy, personally lost lives on that day. But we are naive if we don't believe that America gave so many of her Navy sailors that day off. That's a happenstance to let that bomb hit. To bomb.
Mondale, may I say one thing?
Yep, I just want to finish it real quick. Somebody said this war been going on.
I wanted to touch on something that you said. Just
1 year and 8 days. It's going to be real quick. Somebody said this war has been going on for 1 year, 8 days. You are discounting the fact that Israel stole land, but with the help of America and other white nations from Palestinian people in the 40s. This war has not been going on for 1 year and 8 days. October 7th is not the reason for the aggressive posture in that region. We can't keep saying everybody want to destroy Israel. Israel's the only one bombing. Go ahead, Marcus.
Come on.
Hey, listen, I want to point this out to everybody who's watching right now. Maybe this will get me canceled from the progressive movement or the leftist movement forever, but I'm going to say it, and then I have to say it on your channel and mine. Israel is a country. Judaism is a religion.
Yeah.
They're two separate things.
Yeah.
Do you know who resides and who are Israeli citizens right now? There's Rastafarians, there's Christians, there's Muslims. There are so many different religions that live in Israel right now, at this very moment. What AIPAC and these I guess these big donors and want to make you believe is that criticizing Israel, criticizing Judaism, and will you be a plumb fuck fool if you believe that? You would be. I'm sorry, brother, but you would be a plumb fuck fool if you believe that criticizing Israel is criticizing Judaism. No, brother.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. The first people of Judaism were black. I don't care what anybody says.
Or at least brown.
Oh, no. Well, you know what? That's fine. I'll take brown, black. But here's the thing. They were from where? Ethiopia. That was the first people. The first people. The Southern Nile were the first people that were, and that's not some Hotep thing. Look up any book on the planet. That is a factual thing. That's where
that's the oldest known.
That's the oldest known. They might not be from there, but that's the oldest known practice of Judaism. So I want you to understand right now, because it would almost be disrespectful to the multitude of different religions that are currently residing in the country of Israel. And I'm going to say that. And it's almost scary to say it. There's an awkward silence between my brothers right now, but it's almost scary to say this right here. It's scary to say that Israel is a country and Judaism is not a country.
Yeah.
They have tricked us into believing that if you say anything against Israel, you're saying something against Judaism. And that's just a falsehood. It's two different things. And guess what? Somebody has to say it. And guess what? Our politicians won't say it. The lobbyists won't say it. And guess what? Most podcasts won't say it. I'm not afraid of saying that. And I'm not being anti-Semitic. Semitic by saying that
Not
a
at all.
country is not a religion, bro.
Not at all.
It's
Not at all.
not.
Not at all.
That would almost be like you
Free
can't
boat
go to
rides.
Tallahassee unless you are a Christian. That would almost be like you can't go to New York unless you were a Muslim. You can't go to South Jamaica, Queens unless you were a 5%er. Try that, black people.
But we do know the beta Israelites, talking about the Ethiopians that you're talking about, are treated different in Israel. They are killed by cops. They are treated like the
You're not allowed to
Negroes.
say that, Mondale.
I'm saying it. And also there are Palestinian people whose parents and grandparents that are living right now, that were alive when this land was taken from them, that are not allowed to go down certain streets in Israel.
Hey, listen, if there are Israeli people that are watching this show right now and they think for a second that that ClickBaity political thirst trap is anti-Semitic, you're crazy as hell. We operate out of love in general. But what I think what all three of us are tired of, and I can't speak for those brothers, but I know what I'm tired of. What I'm tired of is this confusing argument that is made by American politicians on behalf of Israel that Judaism is Israel. I'm tired of that. That's not true.
Well, so you're absolutely right. No, I have nothing to. I mean, I echo that. I'll go further. Actually, I probably go further than all of us are willing to publicly admit. So I'm going to stop shy of that. But it's just like they try to make you think that capitalism is democracy. Capitalism is not democracy. They're two totally different things, but they conflate the two because they need to make the argument just that way, so that you can't argue against capitalism without them thinking you're arguing against democracy. Then you can't argue against Zionism without them thinking you're arguing against Judaism. But we all know better. Now, I will go as far as to say this because I said it in the video and I'll say it again. I'm going to keep on saying it. The majority of people who are adherents of the Jewish faith right now, they're culturally Jewish. They're religiously Jewish. Judaism allows you to be adopted into Judaism no matter what race, no matter what. But in terms of ethnicity, in terms of bloodline and lineage back to Abraham, there's more concentration of DNA from Abraham in the Palestinians today than the Ashkenazi Jews who are European.
I hope I'm not getting anyone like messed up or confused, but all I know is that right is right and wrong is wrong, right? Religion and state in America, and if you want to look at it from a worldview and you're an American, then try to look at it from an American view. We try to separate church from state. And believe it or not, we have not done that when it comes down to Israel. I don't care what anybody says. I am a very, like, hell, there's been multiple times that I thought about converting to being Jewish myself. I have thought about it. I'm not doing it, but I have thought about it. And to be honest with you, it's because it's religion. It's a practice of faith. And that's the only thing I want to say on this topic.
You may not have to.
Huh?
You may not have to. You may already be, but we'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, that part. It might even be in my DNA already. Come on.
Look, man. Look, all I can say is white supremacy is so insidious, it will go into a nation and take the identity of those people and represent themselves as that when they know that y'all are Jewish, but y'all are Jewish by religion, by custom, by tradition. Y'all have been bought into the family of Abraham, and that's cool. That's what Judaism is, and we welcome them and we love you all the same. But look at the insidiousness of white supremacy going around the planet like a roaring lion, seeking whom it may devour. That's why I have no more time publicly or otherwise for Zionism. It's a demon that has to be exorcised as much as white supremacy and MAGA, and we can't take any. We can't mince words about it at all.
Hey, Pastor Ben, there has been I have done a misservice to my brother Mondale Robinson. Mondale actually has a multitude of things that he wants to talk about tonight.
Oh, a long list.
Yeah, he had a long because that was a beautiful list that you brought up earlier. We do talk to each other in a little group chat. It's our little hotel. that we
No.
have on
No.
It ain't a Hotep chat.
And they talk
Hey.
about Mondale talks about all y'all. Squirrel Gang, he personally says y'all name. He says very bad things about you. Like he does not like you for real, right? Then Mondale, hey man, would you go ahead and lay it out?
Once you put his misspelling of my middle name up there from 9
you want? Nah, I ain't gonna put that up there. I ain't gonna give him that kind of. You want me to? All right, I'll put him up there. Let's put him up there.
Hold on. I want you to put the one you just put up there first.
Hey, nah, man, why are we paying this guy attention?
No, because I love this. Because this we argue with facts. Look what my man said. Hate from Tel Aviv. Marcus just told you we're speaking from love, a position of love and also equity. He said hate from Tel Aviv. Now finish it off, Ben. My correct name. All y'all should screenshot that and tag.
Oh no, that should be our whole like that should be our thumbnail.
And they don't think we realize like underneath they're not actually, this person isn't even religiously Jewish. He's not even in Tel Aviv. He's a white supremacist, most likely, right? Their minds are so small.
Yeah.
You know, the brains of the average white supremacist.
Not only their vibes.
Here's how beautiful they are. Donald Trump tells them that they're paying $1.15 for gas. They're at the gas pump paying $4 or $5 a gallon for gas, and they still talking about their gas is $1.19. This is not a vote for what that price is. What they see and hear from $1.19 out of Donald Trump's mouth is white supremacy. White supremacy. It's whispered to them every time he speaks. He reminds them that MAGA can be substituted and become massa if you take that G out, like they did today. Make America safe again. MAGA becomes massa. Massa, an illegal immigrant, becomes anybody. Because what Donald Trump said about alligator Alcatraz, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of people in this country that are bad, and not all of them aren't from here, meaning some of them are citizens, and they should be going through. So the progression, we're not getting the numbers we need with so-called illegal immigrants. We're getting bad press because we keep snatching up old ladies out there garden in Louisiana picking figs. Jesus work, right? This Iranian woman that had been here for 50 years. Daughter graduated, mom got snatched. Married a white man.
Say that again, bro. Say that again.
Which part, brother?
The 50 years. There's an Iranian woman that what?
They got snatched 50 years. Married to a white American.
Right.
Daughter graduate, mom gets snatched up out there in the garden picking figs. They said, the neighbor said, she's the neighbor that helps homeless people, call the police to make sure that they're safe. Them clothes, run outside, ask them if they need something in that Louisiana heat. Got snatched up. So they can't get enough criminals. Less than 5% of the people being arrested got criminal records before or other than their status. What happened to all those drug dealers? All those people released from insane asylums? What happened to all those killers? Those people pushing amphetamines, anti-amphetamines? What happened to all that fentanyl? What Donald Trump people looking at? I thought these people was all over the country. Now you're looking for a new type of prison with alligators. You're looking for a castle with a moat. Except you're not protecting castles. You're protecting the people you're gonna put inside of these buildings. You want to know why? Because folk don't even know their immigration status. Because one, you already took due process. You got the Supreme Court questioning this nationwide injunction. You got the Supreme Court question birthright citizenship. What's left to do? Figure out a way to put anybody that disagree with Donald Trump into a prison protected by alligators, pythons, in the Everglades, or in prisons in Rwanda. People are not connecting the dots. Donald Trump is not having international conversation with leaders in Africa and Central and South America about anything except for exploitation. What are you talking about, Mondale? That was about a peace treaty. Hell no, it wasn't. Let me break it down for you. You cannot stop a genocide or a war happening or make a peace deal if one of the parties that's fighting, that's warring for this many years, decade, is not invited. There was nobody from M23, which is the group that is bombing people in Africa, killing and massacring and chopping people up. They were not in the White House when that deal was signed. But you know who was? all the people needed to give Donald Trump and his American cronies access to rare minerals. All those people that were needed were in there. We're in that White House. Donald Trump is so sneaky. Think about this now. We got prison deals with people in Africa. We about to get rare mineral deals with nothing, without offering anything. There's no war. You don't have a peace treaty. You don't have a peace treaty because M23 said any deal, verbatim, when the people were in the White House, any deal, this is what the leaders said, any deal signed on our behalf, about us, without us, is anti-us. This is what they said. So who's the peace deal? The peace
break that down for me, Mundell. Any deal that's signed.
Yes.
Break that down.
So M23 is the militia that's responsible for all this terror.
Right.
In Rwanda, right? And Congo, the Congo. So, but what Donald Trump did was invite the leaders, the political leaders. The political leaders. Hold on one second. Let me stop this camera, bring it back. Donald Trump invited the political leaders. Can y'all hear me? Because I froze, I see.
We can hear you for sure. But you are frozen.
You're fine.
All right. So Donald Trump invited the political leaders, but not the people that can stop the war. He didn't stop the political factions. He didn't stop those people from warring because they said the leader of the M23 is the faction that's warring. Without us, you can't make a peace deal.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Without us, it is impossible.
Mondale, where are they out of? Mondale, where's the M23 out of?
This is Congo. This is one of Congo war.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked you that question is because I find it interesting that the mineral conversation with America is happening right now after China has decided to go ahead and make a deep investment into the continent of Africa, and I'm kind of concerned that we are like delving into waters of damn near another economic war when it comes down to the mineral acquisition and who is getting Africa's resources now. I would love for the countries themselves to get their own resources and be able to benefit from it in a major way. But as it stands right now, China is literally the major power in Africa when it comes down to mineral resources. So, would you make a mistake?
Hold on, you broke up. What was your question?
The last two words, yeah.
Could y'all hear me?
I heard everything but the last 3 or 4 words.
Like, what do you think?
So I think
just break that down like the U.S. China debate over Africa.
Oh yeah.
Ben, if you want to take it first, I'm fine, and then I can go after you.
The U.S. China debate over Africa.
I mean, it's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal.
Well, no, it is, but they're subtly different, but they're very, very similar. So I'm trying to see, like, they're both forms of colonialism. You're going to get a better deal with China, no doubt. The South Africans nations are clear about that, and they are clear about their alignment on the geopolitical stage. They're clear that America's enemies are not their enemies. So they have some alliances with Russia, and they are aligning against the West in a lot of ways. And, who can blame them? But in terms of the mineral rights, China is putting major infrastructure in throughout Africa to get access to get those minerals out of there, as opposed to the United States, who just allows for all of our multinational corporations to use what would you call them? What's the word for soldiers who are not really soldiers, but they're for hire, soldiers for hire. The word is escaping me right now.
Mercenaries.
Thank you. To use mercenaries to hold territory so that these exploitative companies can get into the Congo and the different regions and extract it without giving anything in exchange. So what you're getting from China, you are getting debt there, but you're getting infrastructure, What you're getting from the United States of America are mercenaries, and from France and from different nations, you're getting multinational corporations who are not investing even in the infrastructure. They're investing in nothing but the extraction of the resources. Is one better than the other? Yes, clearly. Are either of them particularly beneficial for Africa in the long run? I don't know. It depends on how China handles that debt. I'm not really sure how they're going to handle that debt in the long run.
Yeah, the reason why I bring it up is I have friends who live in Ghana, Kenya, and also South Africa. And one of my friends told me that there is a McDonald's that is a Chinese McDonald's. That is a Chinese speaking McDonald's in Africa. And I would have never thought that anything was ever possible. So maybe he's lying. I'm not certain, but I find it interesting that the imprint that China is leaving on the mother continent as we
here's an interesting thing though, and I searched this, and I'm going to search it again to be sure, but China is the only nation on the face of the planet that has not, well, not the only nation, but the only major power on the face of the planet that has not enslaved or directly oppressed Black folks. Now, what they're doing in Africa can become oppression, especially through debt. We see what the International Monetary Fund does when they give money away. We got to see what is China's long-term play on this debt that they are saddling Africa with. But in terms of just outright oppression and outright enslavement and outright, like apartheid nations and states, China has not. That was news to me. I thought somewhere through history they had, but I haven't found it yet.
So about the slavery thing, I'm ignorant on that. About the development, China's development it's going to be extremely toxic for African nations, mainly because they're building the roads and they own them themselves. So part of the deal is that China, all of these resources and infrastructure that China is building, it's not being built by Africans. They bringing over Chinese resident citizens to these places, and they're building. I mean, you will be in airports in this Chinese section of airports in different countries. So I think that's going to be the problem. I do think, though, what we're seeing in Africa, though, is something that is extremely amazing. For the first time, I think in 2016, we watched, maybe it was 2017, we watched African nations repatriate more monies from people people in the diaspora, sent more money back to Africa than America did, like way back then. This relationship where African nations was separating themselves from, what is the child, America, the child of England, of something or someone or in a country that enslaved most of Africa. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think we also see, when you look at Burkina Faso, people are recognizing what's what. It's also too much information for people to pretend that they don't know what is possible and also what is exploitation right on this moment. We watch Kenyan technology become what is now Cash App and all of the banking apps we use. That app was produced in peso in Kenya way back in like 2012 or something like that, and then they pretend that like it's new when it got here. So I think we're watching them like master technology that we've not even thought of because of the lack of. This is not to say that Africa doesn't have problems. She absolutely does. But we're watching a speeding up of the industrializing of Africa will happen without America's footprint. And I don't really think I have a problem with that. I think creating Africa as a continent, learning that you should get more than wages for your resources.
Yes.
It's gonna be remarkable, and also it's going to be shape changing, because Europe is at this very moment already natural resource dead. They've exhausted all the resources there. Africa, one country in Africa, Congo, is the richest nation in the world because of its natural resources that are in their ground. As long as they're getting wages, they will never realize that wealth. But when they stop the exploitation, then that's what it is. This is why Trump's meeting with those two nations were problematic. So I think this is also why America had to kill Gaddafi. My conspiracy for the night, Ben. Gaddafi is trying to back up an entire nation's currency with the country that had the highest literacy rate in Africa, where people were paid if they wanted to go to school for something and it wasn't offered in a university in Gaddafi's country. They were paid. That tuition was paid by the state. Nobody was unemployed. Nobody was homeless, right? So they had to kill him. He was talking about unifying the African money like the European dollar.
More importantly, he was talking about the gold standard, like creating a real gold standard. That's why Gaddafi died. but I want to give a shout out to Lesotho. I want to give a shout out to Lesotho, and I also want to give a shout out to Ghana right now for two reasons. That's the cannabis industry, my personal industry. Lesotho has enough cannabis, has enough land that is cannabis friendly to grow outside, that any one of your indoor cannabis grows in America or anywhere in the world.
I got on the continent.
Hey, listen, anywhere in the world, these brothers in Lesotho have natural land and enough to produce cannabis around the world 5 or 6 times, right? 5 or 6 times. This is part of the industry. At Lesotho. That little small dot that's surrounded by South Africa. Lesotho. They have yeah, and also Ghana for expediting their cannabis process. I before we go too far, I do want to talk about one last issue. I do want to bring up one thing. Jasmine Crockett. I want to point this out because this is on the ClickBaity Political Thirst Trap channel, and this is also on my personal channel. Have y'all noticed how conservative news had last week got on her for cursing, and then decided that Donald Trump cursing on the same exact day was perfectly fine?
Man, you got to work with us on how we transition, dog.
I mean, there's
that whiplash.
Yeah, hey, listen, I saw you snapping over there. No, but I bring this up for a reason, man. Right? Like Black folks and how we handle like European issues and how we handle worldwide issues when it comes down to Black countries, Black places, Black people, white people across the nation. We all it all is this big hypocritical thought process when it comes down to dealing with brown people, Black people, specifically Black people. They can lessen us. Fox News last week went out of their way to make it a point to bring up how Jasmine Crockett was cursing in a congressional hearing, which, by the way, I think is perfectly fine. I think that you should be cursing people out in congressional hearings because that's the only place that they should actually deserve that. But then Donald Trump goes and curses out. Well, he didn't curse out anyone. He decides to use curse words when it comes down to talking about the war or the potential war in Iran. And I wanted to bring up to you two gentlemen more than the hypocrisy in these issues. What I wanted to actually talk about is there a place where we get respected as Black people, and do you all see a future where we can speak freely? Like, for instance, in the Democratic Party, Rahm Emanuel got famous for being a raunchy bastard when it comes down to how he speaks.
Yeah.
Right? Like Rahm got famous over just cursing people out in the Obama White House. Why can't we do that?
I don't what is it? Subscribe. What's the word? Subscribe. No, not subscribe. Like when you want to be something.
Aspire.
Aspire.
I don't aspire. Look, the accent. I still got accent in brain, but I don't aspire to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like I think Black people should show up how they want to. I appreciate how passionate Crockett is and whatever language she used. I think for her, it's probably dastardly to watch these people threaten the lives of so many millions of Americans with their policies and then get upset when she curses at them. When you're gonna kill people, but you're angry that I'm cursing.
Yeah.
This is the same thing we see where people tell you that, oh, Mandela's an acquired taste or angry, but they don't see the violence in white American culture and the trauma associated with that, and how I respond becomes the problem, not the action that caused that response. So I think For me, I don't aspire to be a Rahm Emanuel, and I know you don't, Marcus. I know what you're saying. I think the space where Black people can always speak truth is in safe spaces, Black spaces, and we need more of those spaces.
Reactive abuse, Mondale. Reactive abuse.
I like that.
Reactive. No, it's a real term. It's reactive abuse.
So I got to go kind of the long way to answer that question. I want to start here. I as far as I'm concerned, Babylon is falling. And if America want to pay for all of us to have free trips out of here, and put a little extra on it for our drop about 10,000, maybe 20,000 for each Black person, and we just y'all want to get rid of us, send us out of Babylon, prior to the water wars, prior to the age of pestilence. I'm coming back to your point.
Scary. That's scary.
Prior to the collapse of democracy totally, where there's nothing but plague, pestilence, and fascism. Don't threaten me with a good time, because I'll gladly go somewhere else and have that freedom that you're talking about, Marcus. Because as long as we're in a white supremacist construct, we're going to always have to. No. As long as we're in a white supremacist construct, we will never be given a fair shake at anything, whether it is something simple as I said profanity, they said profanity. When they say it, it's beautiful. When we say it, it's an abomination. That's just the logical construct of how they have to operate. Just like now, they have to lie about every single thing. They have to make that assassination in Minnesota. They have to lie about that and invert it and say that it was Tim Walz's people when they know it's MAGA's people. Democrats are finally getting a taste of that, but that's the same narrative inversion they've been doing on Black people since the beginning of time. Right? There's nothing that Black people can do that white folks ain't gonna lie about in this country. So if they want to threaten me with a good time, y'all I'll take $5, but pay $5,000 to $10,000 in a Black person's hand and give us free flights over to Africa. And I guarantee you one thing, excuse me, Pastor Ben, I guarantee you this much. Save this. And this is, I gotta say one more thing. Hang on. This might be a reason why Africa needs to align with Russia and China, because the United States and the West has always had access and permission to come in and plunder and destroy and murder and kill Gaddafi and to just destroy and then turn around and say, oh, why can't Black people prosper? Because colonization and wealth extraction has always gone in and destabilized. Look at the Congo. Look at there is not a nation in Africa that is developing that isn't actually recovering from white folks. So threaten me with a good time, ship us on over to Africa. We will align with China and Russia, dare y'all to mess with us, and watch Africa become the most technologically advanced country on the continent on the face of the planet. And then, Marcus, we'll be able to say what the hell we want to say and not have to worry about the inversion of crackers.
Also, can I also say, Ben?
Excuse me to all of my, white woke friends.
It's funny that you listen. The brain is a funny thing. Like you said, all my white woke friends, and I immediately went to Donald Trump. You want to know why? Donald Trump and his Republican friends. This has been another point that you need to teach us a transition course. Donald Trump and his white friends passed a bill to add like $5 or $7 trillion to the national debt after they call themselves conservatives. Mm-hmm. Right? They passed a bill that's going to kick 660,000 North Carolinians off of Medicaid. Right?
Come on.
In the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make that level of irony up. So when you said my woke white friends, all I could think about was all the ones that ain't your friends that were asleep when Donald Trump and the rest of the world has just proved why they want you anti-woke. Why they are anti. Because if you woke, you're going to catch what happened on the news. You're going to see New York Times at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, breaking, the Vote-A-Rama just passed this crazy bill while you were asleep. Oh, by the way, your grandmama ain't gonna have no insurance as soon as it drops. Let me tell you how crazy it is. I said something earlier when we first started the show about how stupid our politics are on our side. Donald Trump's about to take credit for pushing Tom Tillis out of the University of North Carolina, right?
Say that one more time. You broke up.
Donald Trump is going to take credit for pushing Tom Tillis out of the Senate.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Right? Yeah. That's what he's going to do. He's going to say, I threatened him, so he knew he had to drop out. That's what he's going to say, right? Here's the problem. That ain't what happened. Tom Tillis had already told Donald Trump he wasn't going to run for a third term. So Donald Trump, this is why I feel like Donald Trump bombed Iran. Because he thought Israel was going to be looked at as a strong power. So he wanted some of that. He started bragging. He went from Israel's bombing them to we bombing them. We know. That Negro said, we know where the Ayatollah is right now. We can take them out if we want to. Wait a minute, dog. We do? We can? Because your intelligence, American intelligence, said we don't got no intelligence saying that Iran is making a bomb. So
that's
why
right.
Bombing?
Right. That's right.
You had to sideline American intelligence to go with Benjamin Netanyahu intelligence. We saw that play with Bush. We thought Bush was the only stupid enough to fall for that. You got another dumb president falling for the same thing. Now, mind you, this is the president that told us, y'all, that Barack Obama was so weak and couldn't negotiate that he was going to bomb Iran to keep them from getting a nuclear weapon. This is what Donald Trump told us in 2016. Our president was so weak that he was going to bomb Iran. So I'm telling people, Ben, to bring it back to that anti-woke moment or that woke, our white woke friends. Your white woke ass gonna die right here with us.
They can't go nowhere, huh, Dale?
No, that's why. Hey, that's why I say if they want to deport us, come on, give us these free flights out of this country. This country going to hell. It's gonna be less than 10 years before people are out here dying of plagues that we got rid of because y'all got Robert Kennedy Jr. Y'all think Babylon is a place we need to stay in? I'm just biding my time till I get enough resources to either get rid of y'all or get us out of here. Because and beyond truth to be told is what they have set in motion with Donald Trump is the death knell to the United States empire. They hated black folks so much. They hated immigrants so much. They hated gay people so much that they decided we want to tear this place down. And y'all think people beg? Y'all doing these immigrants a favor, getting all these immigrants out of the United States of America before the pestilence comes in. Y'all are blessing them. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning around for the good of every person you are deporting. So please continue to send us away from Babylon because y'all have insisted on letting it fall. And I've just come full circle. I've been praying for the last 2 years. I'm like, God, save this democracy. I'm raising children here. God, you got to do something about the evil. You got to do something about this forever pandemic. God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then God just told him, he said, why would you want to stay in Egypt when they want the plagues? Why would you want to stay in Egypt when Pharaoh has hardened his heart? Go ahead, man. My bad.
Yeah. God saying to you, like, I sent you a little boat, I sent you a medium-sized boat, and I sent you a yacht. Don't you come up and complain about why I ain't come get you.
Come on. Listen.
Take them healthy black kids away from here before they're healthy.
Look, get us up out of here.
I think it's a real big thing where I finally realized that for the first time in my life, I have a pure enemy.
Ooh, pure.
And sometimes I want
like a mongoose to a colt.
Yes. I have an organic enemy in Donald Trump, but here's my thing. Like, so if you're a ClickBaity political Thirsttrap fan, you watch the show and you know that I am critical of Democrats, right? But I just want to clarify this. Fuck Donald Trump. like from the bottom of my heart, fuck that guy, right? Like, don't get this twisted. Maybe I'm messing up the algorithm. I'm sorry, Mondale. I know you got plans, but listen, like That guy right there is my organic enemy. And it took me a while to understand that, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I have enemies that I know within the Democratic Party, right? But when it comes down to like functioning as a human being.
Showkey says you phoning in, Marcus, on your Nokia. I'm dead.
You making a good. We making a. I'm riding with what you're saying. I'm ignoring the pixelation, bro. Go ahead and finish saying it.
Showkey.
Hey, that's because I'm on public internet, but like I'm gonna make my point anyway.
No, but your point is I was riding with you. Where you going, man?
Yeah,
Finish that thought.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm good. But yeah.
No, not finish it.
Come on, man.
Man, I was hanging on to every word you were saying, man. Come on, finish the thought.
ClickBaity moment. Come on, Marcus. You supposed to join back on Showkey.
Yeah, I'm good, man. We good.
Now he ain't gonna give us the brilliance, man. I was waiting for the close, man. I was with you, man.
No, hey, listen.
Land your plane, man.
Land the plane, Doc. I was waiting.
Hey, plane landed, man. Listen, all I'm saying is I have an organic, organic problem with Trump, and to be honest with you, like at the end of the day, when we look at what happened in New York, and then when we look at what happens and is happening nationally, right? Worldwide.
Yeah.
I will say I'm not wrong with what I've been saying. This party is corporate driven. This party is so corporate driven to the point where Israel has more power than the Democratic voter.
That's right.
We are so corporate driven where Donald Trump can say what he wants and be reelected on a consistent basis, and
that's right.
And be damn near respected by some folks worldwide. Listen, yes. Jasmine Crockett is up there fighting for us in a different way. We have bills that are being passed with citizenship. The Trump administration is doing what the Obama administration could only dream of, but had the power to do, because Democrats are soft. And at this point, I just want to say this on this show, since Marcus has been the bad guy when it comes down to progressive politics.
You ain't the bad guy, though.
No, I have been. Let's keep it 1,000. Marcus has been in the chat room and on the show. I have consistently been the target. And let me finish my point, and then you can
get that thought out.
Let me get back to clowning me. I don't want to hear that shit from now on. Nobody on ClickBaity, no goddamn more. These Democrats are full of shit. They are full of shit. I don't have a problem with us being hardcore, real democratic policies, messaging, and also ethos. But we have forgot what it means to be a Democrat. Being a Democrat right now should be being a progressive, but it's not. But it's not.
Yeah.
What being a Democrat? I don't know what the fuck is so funny, Mondale. Like,
I'm gonna tell you. Go ahead.
It's the chat room, man. They are the chat room is out of pocket. They talking about 5 frames per second. They not letting you live on your Wi-Fi.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Nah. But let me say why I agree with you. Why I agree with you, Marcus.
Hey man, y'all.
But I am confused about. I am confused.
Go ahead.
Hang on.
Predicament we in right now. Like I can be bit by bit. I can be bit by bit.
We can hear you good though.
Y'all can see this, right?
No, it's too blurry. It's too blurry.
I bet.
You look like somebody trying to watch porn in 1992.
Take that VCR tape from Marcus out of the camera, dog.
It's like you need to turn the tuner on the old black and white TV.
Oh no, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something different.
Blow in the disc and start the game over.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute. We went too far. But no, I heard, Marcus, I want you to know I heard every word you said, right? I am confused by one thing, but I agree with you on a whole lot that you said. Let me give my mea culpa, if I may. Let me tell you what shifted in me. Which cut the whole camera off.
I think he still can hear you. I think he's trying to fix this.
Yeah, no, he there. Here's my mea culpa moment. Thinking that America could be saved, I was willing to put up with too much from the Democratic Party to try and save it. If my calculus has now changed, and it has, that the United States of America cannot be saved because there are too many white folks who are on a suicide mission because they hate black folks so much they would rather die. Like, we're dealing with folks who would actually rather die themselves than to actually preserve democracy. Then you come to the realization there ain't nothing you could do in this country. So why put up? And then the second thing, when you see how deeply embedded corporations and Zionism are in the Democratic Party, you realize the fix has been in for a very long time. So I agree with you. Only thing that I'm confused on is tie in your realization that Donald Trump is your natural born enemy to where you landed the plane on me and Mundell, and not saying anything to you about the Democrats anymore. I see both points. I see both points, but how did one lead to the other?
They actually tie in well. First off, Donald Trump is my natural born enemy because Donald Trump organically doesn't have anything to do with me, but my situation as a black man on the planet already told Democrats that a long time ago. And guess what? Democrats have not responded as a party to my issues, and also issues of women for years, like women, gay, like LGBTQIA. They have not responded to any of my issues whatsoever. But I'm supposed to just blindly be like, oh, okay, as a Democrat. And guess what? I said it like that. It's some massive type shit for a reason. As a Democrat, I supposed just to vote every time they tells me to vote.
Sound like James Clyburn.
I would go with Jim Clyburn.
Marcus, don't move too much, man. It makes you
No. I'm not finished yet, Mondale. Hold on. Sit back. You got your chance to clown. What I'm saying is very, very fucking simple.
I'm saying they have done
the most amazing job. They have done the most amazing job with making us as black people and as communities of color feel like we owe them something. When in all honesty, like
they owe us everything.
Would have gotten a lot more of our families' votes. Like the people who sat back in 2024, these votes would have happened, and Trump wouldn't be doing all this crazy shit if they hadn't been talking about the things that we were talking about, right? So, I mean, I'm gonna be above like the petty crazy shit that's going on in the chat right now, and I'm just gonna talk about the real shit that I'm talking about, right? So, like, what I'm saying is very simple. Because earlier in the conversation, it was like, I don't want nobody saying Marcus was right. What I want people, when they watch ClickBaity Political Thirsttrap, to say is that there are different viewpoints. And maybe we should consider all of them. Right? That's simple. That's simple. Because guess what? Being a Democratic sycophant is something that this guy right here, Marcus Farrell Live, he's not going to do that. Why? Because they have to show me something. Point blank. Now, there are some people who might just say, I'm a Democrat, they don't have to show me shit. But that's not me.
So first of all, three things can be true. We started ClickBaity Political Thirsttrap to go back and forth. So this idea that I don't want to argue is to take away from what ClickBaity is. If you disagree, you disagree. Don't be disagreeable when you're disagreeing. So that to me is passive language. Secondly, the joking was
I don't
always
even know what you're talking about, bro.
I'm talking to the chat. I'm talking to the chat. Don't worry about it. So the joking, okay. Right. The joking has never not been a part of ClickBaity. We have a squirrel mascot because of Ben's head. Calling that man a chipmunk and riding him poles for like 30 shows about that name.
It wasn't 30 shows. I gave you a whole good 2 shows on it.
There was actually one tonight. You're right. You're right.
So Marcus, when I was telling you to stop moving because it was making your camera like crazy, when you sit still and talk, you're actually clear.
Yes.
You're actually clear.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. Okay, my bad. That's on me.
And help me out. Wait. Now, since we here, can I jump in, Marcus? Why you always turn the corner and be ready to fight, man? Like we on the same page with you, man.
Oh, because I'm sensitive and I'm soft. Because I'm sensitive. Because of, like. But hold on. Let me show. Hold on, fellas. Let me show y'all real manhood. Because
tell me you love me. Tell me you love me, dog.
I love you. I absolutely love you. I love you and Ben, but I'm sensitive.
Okay.
Like I'm sensitive about my shit, and the reason why is because when you've been damaged emotionally from conservatives, moderates, and people who have gaslit you for years about your politics, you become sensitive to fuck shit. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want everybody to ClickBaity who's watching this right now to understand something. I done did this work.
Yeah. Yep. For years.
I done did this work. And guess what? Mondale might be laughing. Ben might be laughing. I done did this work for real. And there's been people who have fucked with my personal money, my livelihood, over being a fucking progressive.
Marcus, let me ask you a question.
So with that being said, Ben asked me a question. I'm answering the question. Why do I get sensitive about that shit?
No,
I'm man enough to actually admit. No,
I said, why you ready to fight?
I don't get angry. I get sensitive. I'm soft. I'm soft. But I believe in these politics. I believe in my politics because unless we talk like this, we ain't gonna change nothing. Like we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Okay, I just want a little piece more.
Done.
I just want a little piece more because we here now.
You asked the question, man. I answered.
Yeah. But my question was, why do you always be ready to fight so quick? All right, so I don't want you to take away from this that I say anything about you being sensitive. You brought that up. All right, just want you to make sure.
I did. No, I'm sensitive as fuck.
Okay.
I admit it.
Okay, no. I just want to make sure you don't let that get entangled with what I said. Why you all ready to fight? And two, brother, okay. I'm trying to say this right because
I will add one more thing, Ben.
Okay, go ahead.
On this, since we're bringing it up,
yeah,
I'm the blatant progressive when it comes down to this show. On your own show, Ben, you be a progressive as a motherfucker, and I tend to be like standing on my own island a lot on this show.
That's a
when
lot.
It comes down to like holding down. No. Pause. This is my opinion. Okay. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It's my opinion.
Okay.
Right. I feel like I be standing on my own progressive island where there's like in our show has gone to this direction for a second, especially after the motherfucking election. After the election, like directly after the election, we were all like, I felt like it was Kamala juice up in, Vice President juice up in here. And I was like, oh, so we done went, ClickBaity done went corporate. I ain't got that check yet.
So, here's where I disagree.
I am telling you why I act the way I act.
Marcus, can we rebut? Go ahead, Ben.
Because I want to rebut. There's progressive, but then there's also misinformation. And I love you, brother, but sometimes you drop stuff on the air that I just can't agree with because it ain't factually true. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we got to find it. We got to call it out. And then if I make a mistake, I say it and we go, and that's cool. But when
so we all do that? So don't we all, if I'm the only person, so you're factually true all the time, Mondale, and you're factually true all the time, Ben.
No.
I'll say this. Hang on. I'll say this. Can I
No, because
I'm going to answer.
Hold on, Marcus.
I'm going to answer.
Marcus, I will say stuff that's my opinion. That's not that there's no facts to. I absolutely am extremely opinionated, and it's just my opinion. Yeah. That happens a lot. But I don't be going out here on the hotel conspiracies.
Okay, no. I'm gonna give you a specific example, Marcus, and it's because I love you, and we're here, and I'm gonna say it. I've been doing this for 12 years. You might find one instance of me saying something factually untrue. Two, I'll say two. You know when one of them was? 2 weeks ago when you brought up Al Sharpton endorsing Mario Cuomo, not Mario Cuomo, he did. Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
He didn't, we went off on it on air. We took it on GP because you told us that. But then when I went back and I started fact checking it, I was like, dang, that ain't even true. It was something that you got from Sabby. I looked it up and Sabby was the only person who had even covered that. Then I looked up even deeper and I'm like, damn, I just went off on Al Sharpton, even though he's go offable. You know, it's easy to go off on him for many reasons, but not for the reason that you brought up. You know what I mean? So if we're going to go off, I want to be factual. So that's one. Two, there's a reason to oppose people, and it can't just be because you got to show me a reason why I should not have supported Kamala Harris. I don't see a reason why I should not have supported Kamala Harris. Not in the dynamic. Hang on. Let me finish. If you said that Donald Trump is your natural born enemy, give me a reason why you should not have gone out and voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay, no, let me give you two things. First point, right? You're absolutely right. I do apologize. Hence me wanting to do the ClickBaity Political Thirsttrap show last week, but I was available for it. And my first thing was going to be, hey, yo, my bad. I shouldn't have said that. But we didn't do that, and I didn't have an opportunity to. That's the first thing. I should have brought it up at the beginning of the show. I didn't. That's the first thing. Number two, you know what? Let me give you a reason why you shouldn't have if you're a free-thinking human being, because there's a third party. Now, yeah, he might be my natural born enemy. Wait, pause. The math might not be right? But you should vote for what you believe in, right? I am not sitting here saying that you shouldn't have voted for her if you believed in her. Matter of fact, it's kind of like that's kind of not the point of what I'm saying. And also, guess what? All three of us have been wrong about points. And if y'all want me to go point for point, for what you've been wrong on, Ben, and what you've been wrong on, Mondale, I perfectly can. Mondale, he's been wrong on sports, not much politics. He's a smart brother when it comes down to that, right? But that's fine. He's been very wrong on sports. He said some fuck shit about people sometimes. And Ben, guess what? There is a congressman that wanted somebody out of jail for the allegations that he had against.
She was MAGA. Yeah. You got to look at
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my point is not wrong. My point is I brought up that there was a congressperson. We can go back to that is
congressperson who wanted who wanted Tory Lanez out of jail is Representative Luna, whatever her last name is. Hang on. I'm gonna finish the thought. See, Marcus.
But what I'm saying,
I'm not saying no. Let me finish my thought. Hang on. I was in the middle of a sentence. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Make this Marcus is literally coming at with false narratives all the time, because that's bullshit.
Well, because
it is. And to be honest with you, if it's like that,
Marcus, brethren,
you all right?
Brethren.
Marcus, are you okay?
I'm great. I'm great.
We were having a great show.
I'm open.
We were having a great show. Let me say this. And I'm gonna say it with love, but I'm gonna say it. You don't get you're not the arbiter of progressivism, Marcus. You're not the final say on who and what is. You can determine your progressivism for sure, and I respect that, right? But your progressivism, listen, man, I remember what some of the things that's not even important. I'm gonna take that back. Thank you, Lord. My choice with Kamala Harris and my defense of Kamala Harris is as rooted in progressivism, secondary, but blackness first.
Right.
That's where I stand. The reason it's still rooted in progressivism is because I understand the nature of American politics. And if I know that the death knell to the United States of America is Donald Trump, for me, anybody who's talking about a third party is out of their mind. That's for me.
You are.
You can discern that for yourself, but that don't make you more progressive because someone is chasing after a what we call a chimera. Something that's wanted and desired, but never achieved. I like Dr. West, but I think he was a fool for trying to run a third party. That's my decision. That's my choice. Does that
That's
make
fair.
Dr. West more progressive than me? Not.
Right.
Listen, ain't nobody really much more progressive than me on politics, on economics. You know what I mean? I go further left.
No, but Ben Dixon,
Marcus, let me finish, dog.
absolutely right.
Marcus, let me finish, because I want to. Marcus,
He was just talking to me, Mondale. I'm going to respond to him. Then I would like.
No, he was trying to finish.
What I was going to say to you is very simple.
It's okay.
I never at 1 second said that I was more progressive than anybody. I said that my viewpoints have been downgraded, but I'm not saying that you're wrong. Or like, matter of fact, there's been, look at every single show that we've done. I've gone in for Harris, right? There's not been a point where I've actually been like, yeah, nah, screw her or anything like that. What I have done is brought up points that I didn't like about her, right? And at the end of the day, I'm not gonna backtrack and say that she wasn't a part of the Democratic industry, the Democratic mechanism that we are a part of, but also I'm not going to sit up here and say that
you have 3 rants.
Worse than I'm not going to say that she was worse than Donald Trump, and I've never said that
she's worse
ever.
than Donald Trump.
Okay, so let me Marcus,
and I've never said
making
the same thing
Marcus,
as Donald Trump. And if y'all try to put me on that level, they all like that's the cap.
Marcus, what are you doing? We're just trying to.
Marcus, we're engaged.
People, nobody.
No, I mean, I'm talking.
Marcus, hold on, dog. Hold on, please, bro. Please.
I just explained myself. I don't know.
No. You had 3 rants, and we have not been able to come back or rebuttal.
He just talked. I respond to him. You could be next.
It wasn't finished. You interrupted him. Bing, do you want to land your plane?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll land my plane. Here's what I'm saying though: is as a function of this show, ClickBaity, brother, we engage with you. I engage, and Mondale could speak for himself. Dog, I engage with you in good faith. I agree with probably 90%, probably 100% of your politics. I don't agree with this thing that happens in the progressive left circle, and it's a couple of places. It happens in FBA. It happens in ADOS.
I'm not FBA.
It happening.
I'm not FBA. Continue.
Okay, but it happens, and
no, I'm not FBA. No. We need to
clear that up. You said that. He said okay. He didn't say you were. He said it happens in a few places.
Hey, referee. Tim Donahue. This is not the Lakers versus the Kings. I'm good with you right now. We can talk.
Go ahead. Just you got it, Mark. You got it. Come on, brother. Let's give the people something. Because at this point, we're not making clips that can be shortened out and say this is Marcus' point of view, this is Ben's point of view. Because every time he starts, you interject, but he didn't interject once on your long soliloquy. I want to get my get back too, dog. Go ahead, Ben.
There is a through line. There is a way of thinking. There's a way of engagement. There's a way of arguing, and there's a way of neutralizing actual progress that is rooted. That Francis, I can't think of her last name. It's a circular logic that prevents actual progress from occurring, and it manifests in revolutionaries and radicals all the time, where they can't engage with the natural culmination of the argument. What am I saying? Is that it becomes an abort mechanism. It feels good, and you could say it, and you could. It's just like the idea of voting for a third party. It gives you space to say I'm doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, you're not doing a thing. You're not getting anything accomplished. You're not moving the ball forward for progress. In fact, we're handing over the ball to people who are going to make us regress. And it happens with FBA on reparations. They talk like they want reparations, but then they do things in a circular logic way. They prevent actual progress from getting a coalition from actually necessary to get a actual bill on reparations. But they get to sit back and pontificate as though they are the blackest of the black, when in reality, they just run on a hamster wheel over and over again. Same thing happens on the progressives. They do the same thing every single election. They don't make the moves necessary to actually get something accomplished, but then they get to sit back and say, oh, I did the more moral thing. I voted for the greater good and not the lesser evil. But here we are. Not only do we not have progressive values and policies, we don't have Medicare for all.
wall. We don't have any of those things, but we have on top of that everything that MAGA is going to do. So what I don't engage in on this show or in my content or anything that I do is I don't engage in freezing myself up from making the tough decision because this feeling over here feels good. I get to protest. I get to protest vote. I get to sit out. I get to wag my finger and say, I told you so. I get to do all these things, but you ain't do nothing to actually move the ball forward. That's the type of politics I don't engage in. If I got to get my hands dirty and vote for a Democrat and get something moved or not even moved, hell, it's not even progress sometimes. It's holding the line. I would have much rather have a Democrat in power right now than somebody who just fired 10,000 milk inspectors. We can't even buy real milk in our house no more. So what I'm saying is when arguments come from that space, when arguments become circular and the logic is not moving us forward, to me, that's not progressive. That's not the kind of progressive politics I engage in.
I also think for me, and here's my rebuttal. And I'm just going to try to sum it up in 3 or 4 points. The first one I want to end this forever. For me, on this show, in this context. My support for Kamala does not take away from my bona fides at all. I am who I am. It would be logical for me to say that Ben don't have no record of trying to get people in his town free energy. He's not a mayor. I ran on universal basic income. I ran on defunding the police. I went to town meetings with my full throat against all of the board and said we need to defund. We need to take all the money away from all of the police department. I said we need universal basic income. I said we need affordable housing. I said all of the progressive ideas. I said we need health care for our people. That don't make me more progressive than y'all. It puts me in my progressive skin, in my progressive space. To say that me recognizing the options, I mean, especially when you call something your natural born enemy, you should want to kill that because that natural born enemy implies that it preys or it's a predator against you. So you should want to kill that by the best means possible. You can't tell me a third party was the best options when that candidate actually switched parties 7 or 8 times in one election cycle. That is not healthy for the conversation, or it's not going to be grounds that's going to allow you to call yourself progressive to me. So what I'm saying, when you tell me that you didn't say that you was the most progressive person, you absolutely did say it without those words. What you said was, after the election, I came on the show and said, after the election, I came on the show. This is what you said. And I was like, when did ClickBaity go corporate? That's what you said just now. 5 minutes ago, you said, when did ClickBaity go corporate? Because I didn't get my check. That is implying that Ben and I are not as progressive as you. We have become corporate Democrats. That is cap. I stick and stay with the facts. I said what I said in November. I said it in April, and I said it now. Now that all of the numbers out, you people, and I'm talking about the people in the world, will give Pew Research all the credit for looking at polls and saying, oh, there was no mandate for Donald Trump. He simply got 33% of the electorate. Kamala got 31%. And majority of Black people, Black men specifically, like I said, did not vote for him. There was no increase in raw numbers for Trump. My point stands. My point, if the election was held yesterday or tomorrow, I would still vote for Kamala over Trump. That does not make anybody on this show more progressive because I was voting for Kamala to stop everything America is suffering through right now. We've been to war since this guy been president, a new war with Iran. We bomb people because of this president. We're about to cut millions of people out of
17 million.
15 million people are about to die because of the ending of USAID. None of that would have happened if Kamala was president. I don't care what people say. You can't trick my little brain to believing that my vote was a bad vote when this is the alternative. So this energy, bro, this swift that I think Ben is talking about that threw us for a loop is you went from natural born enemies to saying that you were the most progressive or that the way that we come for you is problematic. I argue that people on this show, I argue that people on this show are more in line with you than we're not. I also would say You're back there talking at the camera, brother, that's muted, does not show me that you're actively listening. You're listening to respond, not to hear me. You can't listen and talk. The body don't work that way. I learned that in Psychology 101, active listening. But I think for me, the problem is there's something else going on right now.
Yeah.
There's something else going on, and we probably can't or shouldn't get into that something online. We should figure that out amongst us because we're brothers, and we will.
Yeah.
All right, pause.
Hold on,
All right,
Marcus.
pause.
I don't want to pause.
No,
Unless
you going,
you
no.
Marcus, hold on,
Something
brother.
else going on. That was my point where it's time to cut that
Hold on.
shit short. First off,
Marcus,
Ben,
cut
you
me
know
short.
what?
Hold on a second,
Hey,
brother.
man,
Hold on,
both
brother.
of you brothers have
Marcus.
valid points.
Marcus,
No, y'all,
let me
I mean, wait. I was just
Can I finish?
quiet
Can I
for
land my plane?
literally 30
Let me land my
like
plane.
15 minutes.
Wasn't
All right, no,
Marcus, hold on a second. Please, thank you. Thank you. That's another thing. We can't continue like there has to be a stopping point where we can just get some like clippable points out. Like, and it's not for clickbaity to be clickbait. It's just so people can say, hey, I took this from this show. And it can't just be ja. That's funny during COVID when we got 7 hours. But right now, my time is condensed, brother. We got one night and we ain't even consistent on that one night. Let's not mix that up with craziness. I love the laugh and joke. I've never seen us get upset over joking because that's part of the clickbait. The joking with the audience, going back and forth. Ben used to be making extremely important points during COVID, and we would just go into rants with people. We would put comments and pictures of people up on the screen and just clown them for 10, 15 minutes. So we can't change the nature of the show. I see the culprit. Go ahead, Marcus. I seen the culprit.
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of ClickBaity Political Thirst Trap. I appreciate everyone for watching the show tonight. My brothers in arms are the most caring Black men. Before I get on their ass real quick, they are the most caring Black men about their societies. And don't ever get that shit confused. There's a reason why I come on this show on the inbox, on Twitter, every week. And I'm always the first person to say, hey, man, y'all ready to go? Besides the date. I'm always the first person. So let me level set real quick. If I am bringing up an ethos of I'm better than when it comes down to my progressive bona fides, and by the way, Mayor Mondale, let me let you know something, bro. As a mayor, bro, you're the most progressive one that I know, actually. I know your policies. I watch what you do. Ben, when it comes down to being in the pulpit and being able to speak about the current moment, there's nobody better than you. Like, literally, you destroy Dr. West and other pastors that I know when it comes down to, like, being able to match this moment with religion and the thing that I grew up on, God and faith. There's nobody better than that to me. Hence me going to Sunday service. Hence me going to be able to, next Tuesday, no matter what happens for the rest of the night, being able to say, hey, man, you know what? I'm going to do ClickBaity Political Thirst Trap because this is not my show. This is our show. And I don't mean our show as Ben, Marcus, and Mondale. I mean, this is our show, meaning there are the Trap Squad, us in general. No, I don't go with establishment Democrats. I don't. And I don't care how y'all label it. I don't go with them because establishment Democrats do not do anything for Black people. Point blank. We could try to cover it up, put some mascara on it, lipstick on that pig. They don't do nothing for us. Harris was the representation of that. Now, I even said this during the election, but we didn't start having these conversations till after the election. Harris has been better than Trump, and she would have been. I said that. I'll say that again. I said that in the past. I'll say that in the future, but I've said that. So to try to put this false narrative that I am trying to, like, I was trying to like bash Harris the whole time. No, I just wasn't feeling her. And I thought we had a show that we could talk about not feeling something or someone. Oh no. When after the election, instead of having any contradictory thought processes, and by the way, folks, Ben, Mondale, y'all can go back and watch. It was the Harris show. I've never been about the Harris show, bruh. What I've been about, no, since y'all made y'all accusations, look at the faces that are being made right now. You remember my face a couple of minutes ago? That's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. But the awesome part about ClickBaity is, guess what? Guess what? I love y'all boys, man. I'm not even gonna get into, like, I'm not even gonna even start an argument. I'm gonna take a different route this time. Because usually I'm always trying to argue with y'all. I'm just gonna say this to y'all. I love y'all boys. And this is what makes our show special. That's it. That's it. This is what makes our show special. And guess what? I really don't, like, we can go back and forth about who's right, who's wrong, this, that, and the other, but I'm gonna keep being the person that I am. And if y'all boys think that I'm trying to, like, oh, I'm more progressive, well, you know what? When it comes down to establishment Democrats, yeah, I might be. I might not be. Prove me wrong. I'm just sticking to my guns on this one right here. And guess what? Trump still is my #1 enemy right now, and now one of y'all won't ever be able to take that away. Try as hard as you want to, but that guy right there is fucking us up as a community right now and as people right now. And I know that the after family members have been fired, which I knew they were going to be fired if he got elected, there's no righteous point of a third party to you guys, but there is. If we don't do something, then the same thing happens over and over again. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Maybe I'm a dreamer. Maybe I've been in politics for 20 years, just like you have, Mondale. Maybe I see that there's different options and we could talk about them. Maybe I see that establishment Democrats and big time donors who give money to these same people are going to get elected and they won't do anything for us. And also the assumption that I am affiliated with any organization. You know what I do for those organizations? I tell them, hey man, y'all need to learn how to win elections. Y'all need to learn how to win elections. Y'all need to learn what a win number is, whether it's FBA, ADOS. You know, that's what I do. I'm a political consultant. If you want to win elections, if I want reparations passed, then guess what? Do I think it's going to come through the Harris campaign? Do I think it's going to come through the Trump campaign? Do I think it's going to come through FBA? Do I think it's going to come through ADOS? Do I think I can start my own thing? I don't know. All I know is I'm going through with the people that actually have talked about it and care about it. Because as I said when I started the show, on day one, I want reparations passed. And guess what? I'm not going to be a sycophant for anybody. Because the same machine that supported my sister Harris is the same machine that's going to support Rahm Emanuel or that white boy out of California. And if you act like it's anything different, we're crazy. But that's not what it's about. I fundamentally just give a fuck about one thing: protecting the democracy right now, constitutionalism right now. And it's okay, fellas, if every now and then that somebody says Marcus was right. It's okay. Because guess what? Every show, y'all have thousands of people who say you guys are right. It's okay that for progressive who wants something different looks at me and says, hey man, you know what? I'm feeling that guy. It's okay. Because I have to, like, I am cool with both of you being right. I learn from you. I adjust to you, and I appreciate you both. I think sometimes, though, y'all might not appreciate me. I'll leave it at that. We ain't got to argue.
Ben, did you have a comment?
Just what we can say off air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just finish. I think I'll just say if my rebuttal, Marcus, came off as accusations, then I didn't communicate it properly. But there were no accusations. I was responding. That's why I've taken notes. So that the difference is like, so I can hear you. I write down what I'm going to say. I don't interject or interrupt you because I know that's just going to take us down a road that we don't need to go down. I was not making accusations. I was responding to accusations.
There.
So
sorry about that. Sorry about that, brother.
I'll just leave it there. What I would say is 10:15. It's late. I would ask that both of y'all stay on after the music ends. Let me say to the folk, y'all just watched siblings go off the deep end a little bit. But we'll be back next Tuesday, hopefully. Yeah,
we'll be there. All right, y'all. Actually, let's give these shout outs to Mexican Standoff. Thank you for the super sticker. And the Cali Enigma. Pastor Ben will be opening a church in Ghana. I'm calling it now. Ben has seen the light. I'll see you in West Africa. Inshallah, brother. Inshallah. That's all I'll say about that. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Put them squirrels up in the chat room. Them acorns and them squirrels. Trap Squad. We'll see y'all soon.
Trap Squad, 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 Trap Squad. Hey, ClickBaity political. Yeah, Thirsttrap, Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent ClickBaity. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Thirsttrap, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, Trap Squad, let me hear ya. Trap Squad, Trap Squad, throw those squirrels up if you